Welcome to another edition of Marksinspiration. The Power is Within podcast. Glad you could join me here today as always. We haven't been making very long podcasts lately because I am so busy with my other business. So it's difficult for me to find the time to do it. But I'd like to do a little something. And today I want to talk about the nearly 5-hour interview with Andrew Tate and Patrick Bet-David. I would suggest that anyone that likes Tate, or even if you don't like Tate, to watch that before you form an opinion of him. He has toned down, at least in my opinion, he has toned down quite a bit and has learned, how do I say, how powerful his words are and how people can take things out of context. Of course, it doesn't matter how good of a speaker you are and how aware or how conscious you are of someone maybe taking something you say out of context, they can do it to anybody. So, but what I see is he realizes that there's so many people out there that will take wrong what he says, that he's really become more eloquent with his speech, not quite as brash, but he's such an excellent communicator and a great speaker. I also watched him on the BBC interview, and that was kind of a setup on the BBC's part. They were trying to make him look bad, which they didn't do. And if they did anything, they only proved his point of the Matrix is out to get him, because they were just extremely biased in the way they interviewed him, and I didn't particularly care for it, but I did appreciate the way he was able to outmaneuver their questions and come back at them and actually, like I said, prove his point of it was just another Matrix attack, as he called it. He spoke about his time in jail, and the reason I told both of my boys to watch that, and I haven't told the other ones yet because I haven't talked to them to tell them to, but he made such a positive outlook about his time in jail, and I can also see that he has more humility now than he had before he went to jail. He's learned the importance of a reliance upon God, and he's certainly not afraid to speak about it. Now, I know some of you may be Christians, and he's, I think it's a Muslim, isn't it? I could be wrong, but I think that's his religion he's chosen. But as he says, it's all the same God. I know some of you probably don't believe it is, and that's fine. I think it is. It's just my belief. I could be wrong, but that's what I believe. So he's really become more reliant on God and less reliant upon himself, although he still portrays the same confidence, if not more, than he had before. It kind of offends people sometimes when people speak about themselves as being great. But what's the alternative? Talk about yourself like you're nothing, like you're worthless, like you can't do anything, like you have no power. We are all endowed with the power of God. It's just a question of whether you want to express it. It's like electricity. Electricity only acts through the mechanism that we use it to energize. In a light, it puts light out there. In a toaster, it makes toast. In a refrigerator, it cools the air and keeps our food cold. In the same way as the power of God that runs through you and through everyone and through Andrew. It only can act in how the mechanism, which is us, decides to use it. It's the same power, but it's filtered through us. How do we decide to use it? How do we feel about ourselves? Obviously, Andrew believes in himself, he believes in his brother, and he believes in humanity. He believes that he will be cleared of all these charges. I wasn't sure whether he was going to come back on and speak as he is speaking. I must say I admire him for that, because he's taking a big risk. Because he's not cleared yet, but he's confident that he will be. And I believe that he is innocent. And I have no problem with saying that. I've been through a similar situation that he's going through, but not on near the level he is. It was a local government thing, and they can pretty well do whatever they want to. I know a lot of you in America, maybe not any of my viewers, but a lot of people in America think, well, if you're innocent, then you'll be cleared. It doesn't really work that way all the time. And I've experienced that. Our justice system is probably one of the best in the world, but it is ran by people with opinions and prejudices and filters they see life through. So if you get someone who doesn't like you, then they see bad in everything you do or you say. And that's the way they view these things. Now, and you got the same thing with Andrew's fans or the people who don't like him. Even the BBC reporter got on there and tried to make him look bad about when he said taking a machete to the girl. She, a reporter, didn't even take the time out to look at the whole clip about that. What that talks about is where the woman come after him with a machete and he took it away from her. It was a scenario he talked about. It wasn't something that actually happened, but what he would do in that scenario. So, and then you have a lot of people out there, I'll see them make comments on some of this stuff, and it's obvious to me they've seen a short clip that was purposely made to get views, whether that was made to make Andrew look bad or like a misogynist or sexist, I'm not sure about that, but it's taken out of context. And that's what they do. So, if you really want to make an opinion on someone, you need to take the time to really listen to them and listen to everything in context of what they're saying. As I've said before, Andrew Tate speaks the same way as the men I grew up with. I grew up with men who had been through the Great Depression, a long time ago, men who had been through World War II, men who had been through the Korean War, and men who were just coming out of the Vietnam War. And these men talked as men. And I've said this before, they speak the same way Andrew speaks today. But that's called misogynist and sexist. But yet these men, many of them risked their lives to protect women and children. They fought in foreign wars, World War II and the rest of the wars, to protect the sanctity and safety of our nation. Some of them didn't come back. Of course, the ones that I was around came back, but some of them didn't. The ones that I was close to that came back from the Vietnam War were messed up. I hung around with them a lot. We did a lot of weed smoking and drinking beer. They very seldom ever talked about it over there. One of them was a sergeant, and he talked about going out into the jungle and different things. I remember the one thing he talked about is if you stepped on I think they call it a punji stick. What it was a spike in the ground, and it had human crap on it. And if you stepped on that, the infection in your foot would get so bad that you would be out of service for a while. And other things he spoke about. I mean, and not knowing whether you're going to live or die. And these were the men that were serving our country. And these men, as I said, they talked the same way Andrew Tate talked. But back then, it was okay. It wasn't like that was something terrible. So what you have here is a man speaking as a masculine man, but he's speaking to the world, and so many people are offended because we've become so soft, especially here in the West. But yet, and he says this too, who do they look for when they need someone to defend them? They call the police. They call the firemen. They call a masculine man who's willing to risk his life. And maybe he even talks about women in a way that they wouldn't like, but yet they need him and they want him. They call the policeman to come and arrest the guy that's at their door or arrest their husband because they're having a domestic. They call the masculine man that they say is toxically masculine to come and help them. Nobody wants the masculinity until they need it. But that's the kind of men that have built this country. That's the kind of men that maintain this country. It's just that most of them don't speak on a scale as Andrew does. They don't speak to the masses. And of course, he gets attacked for that. I would recommend that each of you watch that 4.5 hours, I think it was, with Patrick Bet David. It was really good, and I take it as a positive, inspirational meeting between those three guys. Check it out. Let me know what you think about it in the comments section. That's all I got for today. We're going to have some more podcasts later on, get the family together. I'll probably have some more guests coming. But as it is right now, it's really busy here, which I really enjoy. I love what I do. I love my other business. And I enjoy doing this too. So I just wanted to touch base with you guys, and I'll catch up with you later. Like and subscribe. Share this with a friend if you think it will be of value to them. And take care.